Hello, everybody. There's a number of models out there on change. And a model is something that you put together through a prescribed formula or format, and at the end you have something that looks great. Some of us may have built model trains, planes, or cars in our youth, or at least watched how others did it. And some were pretty elaborate with glue, and others were just quite simplistic, which means you just clicked them into place. In any regard, they all had as a basis some kind of directions to follow. And at the end, if you did it correctly, you had something that you could play with for months, if not years. That's a model. Change as well has models, and some of these models are some of the best. We have some like ADKAR and Lewin's who've spent a considerable time developing a model that, if you follow it, will help navigate through some of the complexities associated with change and changes and the effects of change. Another is Kotter, who came up with a great process as well and is used frequently whenever there's an organization that needs to change from one aspect to the other. At its basis, though, I would find that a model or models would have four commonalities. In other words, for a model to be most effective in change management or change organization, they'd have to address four key areas. And then those models, although they may have variables, could be used quite constructively during the often stressful period of change. First is you have to have a reason to change. You have to be able to express to others, this is the reason that we're going to change. It has to be obviously plausible, and for others, it has to make sense. And when I say make sense, I use those words intentionally. There's a need, I think, for some that go through the change process to make it as complex as possible, maybe to relay hints that they've actually spent quite a bit of time determining, analyzing, researching the process going forward. But in fact, at the end of the day, what has to happen is that somebody has to be able to understand it in very rudimentary terms. And that's why when you have a reason to change, it has to be fairly well understood by your employees and others who are going to be affected by the change. Second is you have to have an idea of what to change to. Now that people have bought in that we need to change, you have to take a step further and say, what are we going to change to? And so this has to be a detailed understanding of the future and an understanding for others as well that this is a future that they need to move towards. And so first and second is have a reason to change, and then second is you have to have an idea what to change to. Third is you have to figure out a way, the best way that you can, to obtain that future. You have to have what I call a clear idea of what the future will be. And now that you know that future, you have to have a clear idea of how to obtain that future. So there's really this three-step process. And some would throw in a fourth, which I'll get to in a little bit. But they have this three-step processes, have a reason to change, have an idea what to change to, and then have a clear idea of how to get there. I think in most cases, if you have that type of change process, you're going to be successful over the long term. Because people know, they want to have some confidence of where they're going to go and that they have a good chance of getting there. The last one, which I'll just throw in fairly quickly, is a contingency plan. The best laid plans, once implemented, often don't come out the way that you intended. The environment affects our plans, and that's where experience comes into play. But we should have some plans, plan B, a contingency plan, that says that if A doesn't work, then we'll do B. And you have to have those plans before you initiate the original plan, because you never know how the plan's going to work out, and you may not have time to create the plan B or plan C. So that's what we look for in a change model. In any of the models that we use, you have to have a reason to change. You have to have an idea what to change to. You have to have a clear idea how to get to where you want to go. And lastly, have a plan B or contingency plan. Everybody enjoy the day. I always look forward to chatting again. Take care.